Hi, everyone. I'm Ryan. I am a manager of product security here at Salesforce, and I'm here to talk to you about tips and tricks to pass the Salesforce security review. Now, I was walking around earlier talking to some people in the audience, and I guess it wasn't clear that this is specifically the AppExchange Salesforce security review. So who here in the audience is an ISV or an AppExchange partner? 1, 2, 3. OK, we have a few. Who here has written Apex code or has some custom Apex code in their org? OK, that's a lot more. So you don't have to be an ISV or a Salesforce partner to get anything out of this talk. We're going to cover a lot of security tools for just your basic code that you write in your own org. We're going to give some stuff to you as well. We're going to throw out to some other parts of security. I'm going to have a list of security talks at the end. I would highly recommend you all go to. Those of you who are more on the admin side will have some stuff for you up there, but this is mostly targeted at developers and AppExchange partners. Before I go too far, though, I have to do my forward-looking statements. Salesforce is a publicly traded company. I don't plan on making any forward-looking statements today. However, in the event that I do, please know that any forward-looking statements, any features which aren't yet released, are subject to risk. If you are going to make any purchasing or investment decisions, please make those based on what's available today and not the content of this talk. However, I would really recommend looking at the content of this talk. I've been really blessed to give this talk a few times. I've been really blessed to meet all of our partners and help secure so many companies. And I wouldn't be up here if it wasn't for you. And the opportunity to come and give security advice to our awesome customers, our awesome partners, has been really humbling for me. So thank you all for giving me this opportunity, and thank you all for helping me learn how to secure a marketplace. All right, but let's go through the basics. We're going to talk about what the AppExchange security review is, why it's important, what are our resources, and what are the roles, who plays which part. We're going to talk about building security into your app. It's much easier to do it from the beginning than it is at the end, both in the early development phases and the tools and resources we have at the end for that. Then we're going to talk about what happens after security review. One note, all of these slides and my audio will be posted after the fact, so you can come look at the session advice after, but I encourage you to take pictures now and share it with your developers in your organization or keep it for your own records. Cool. So why is security important? It's kind of a silly question, right? I always like to think of security as the air we breathe. Security is really fundamental to everything we do. You don't sell a product and then you sell security after. You sell one holistic thing. And at Salesforce, that's been a core of our business for a long time. Back in 1999, we really struggled to put customers' data into the cloud out of their own environment. That required a lot of customer trust. They had to trust us with our data. So we had to make a lot of assurances. We had to make a secure set of products. We had to make a secure marketplace for them. And that's not a one-time thing. It's not a one-time check, you're trusted, we're done. It's an ongoing partnership. So we have to reinforce and maintain that. And so what does a secure marketplace mean? It means that both us as Salesforce and all of our ISVs, our partners, are critical parts of that. We help you where we can. We build security into our platform. We offer awesome tools and resources. But there is an obligation on every partner of ours. You have to do a little bit of work yourself. You have to understand what your security boundary is and make sure that your app functions securely. Now, I've seen a lot of customers and a lot of Salesforce customers who really, really want security built in. There are customers who have their own AppExchange security boards outside of our standard AppExchange security review. The AppExchange security stamp is a really big badge of honor. And I would encourage all of you customers, if someone's trying to sell you a Salesforce package that hasn't gone through a Salesforce security review, to very highly question why. I can't comment on the security of any package. I can comment on what has been security reviewed and what's not. And there are secure packages out there that have not gone through security review. But from Salesforce, this is our tool to help maintain that all of our packages meet the Salesforce bar. And of course, it's an ongoing cycle. Our security review isn't a one-time check either. We constantly re-review apps. We look for bugs and just spot checks. If there's bugs reported to us from customers that actually belong to a partner, we deliver it to that partner and help make sure that that's driven to closure. So how do we secure the ecosystem? Well, we have our platform and we have a whole bunch of things, but I'm going to break it down. So in the platform, we have a few things built in. So if you're building on Salesforce, you get a lot of luxuries. You don't have to build your own TLS framework. You don't have to build your own encryption because Salesforce gives that to you. You know who your users are because they're already logged into Salesforce, and you know what permissions they have because Salesforce has a very robust permissioning model. And then if you're building custom Visualforce pages or custom Lightning components, you get a lot of other protections. You get custom cross-site scripting protection. You get cross-site request forgery protection. I'm going to be using a lot of acronyms here. If you're not familiar with any of these types of vulnerabilities, I'd really encourage you to take a trail or look at some of our documentation we have later in this talk. When you think about it, if I mention something you're not familiar with, it's probably a class of security bug. But we have a lot of stuff built into the platform. I'm pretty happy with that. We have the Salesforce security review process. This is what me and my team do. So every app on the App Exchange goes through a pretty intense process where we have 2 engineers looking at it for 8 hours each. After we look at it for those 8 hours, we try and find any bugs using what I call a cyborg security reviewer. So we have our automation, and then we have humans consuming that automation and augmenting that to make sure that the automation is correct and to see what the automation couldn't catch. Computers are great at some things. Computers are not great at other things. Right now, humans are really critical in determining what determines secret. I can look for the string password and know that that's secret, but sometimes secrets aren't always called password or secret. So that's why we have to have humans in that loop. And so we do that at the beginning. Everything listed on the App Exchange has passed an initial review. And then we have re-reviews on a risk-based basis, both based on time, how much the package has changed, how many customers have installed it. We do a lot. And lastly, we have spot checks. If someone is reporting a bug to us, we pull up that package, we look for that one bug, see if that's true or not. If it's true, we'll add that into our risk score, make sure that that one bug is fixed, and move on. We have our tools. So we have our Salesforce Force.com code scanner. We have our Chimera scanner, and we have ongoing monitoring. So our code scanner will take all the Apex Visualforce Lightning in your org, scan it for you. It'll also do this for managed packages. In fact, if you ever submitted for the App Exchange security review before, you've had to give us the output of one of our code scanners. We have our Chimera web scanner. This will take arbitrary websites and run a security scan on it. Now, there is a caveat to that. We're not giving away a tool to just attack arbitrary websites. You do have to put a secret token into your domain so that we know that you actually own this and you're giving us permission to test it. And our ongoing monitoring is provided at the Salesforce side and is communicated to you through your PAM or through the security review team. We have our content. We have our secure cloud development page. We have developer.salesforce.com/security. We have outreach to partners and customers. I've been told that me standing on stage today is actually content. Who knew? We also have our Trailhead modules. I'm very proud of our Trailhead modules. If anyone has taken the Develop Secure Web Apps trail before, please come give me feedback. I helped work on that. We worked on that based off of the content and the bugs we see in actual security reviews. Lastly, we have you. We have our partners and our customers. We're trying to maintain secure code and a secure lifecycle consistent with our best practices and the industry's best practices. When you put it all together, we have a lot of layers of protection, a lot of ways to secure our customers, our mutual customers, and their data. Everyone got their picture? Cool. So, who's who? Who am I? Why am I allowed to talk about this? And then what parts can I not talk about? So I'm actually in the middle there. Laser pointer, there we go. I run our product security App Exchange team. So I manage the product security engineers who look at the code, find the bugs, report the bugs, help do remediation advice and guidance. And I want to say that this is the same team who secures Salesforce. You have the same people looking at your code as the people who look at Sales Cloud, or Community Cloud, or Einstein. You'll get a lot of the same expertise, and we want to make sure that you have the same bar as we do. You have your ISV partner team. I'm less qualified to talk about that because I'm not on the partner side. But we have your partner account manager. This is your go-to for all things partner related, all your contracts, any marketing you want to do, et cetera. We have our ISV technical evangelists who talk about the new features coming out in the platform, how to best utilize it, what marketplaces are coming out that you can best take advantage of. They typically will focus on individual areas. So you'll have a community technical evangelist. You will have a sales technical evangelist. But all of them have some guarantee that we've talked to them about security. And lastly, you have the security review operations team. I'm really happy with the way we do it right now, where we have people dedicated to make sure that the process is very smooth. We want to have people dedicated to make sure that your code and your false positives and all your environments sail through security review without any to missing documentation or improperly configured environments. And lastly, we have some non-Salesforce parties. We have product development outsourcers. Think your Code Science, think your Metacube. I'm not endorsing any partners here. Those are just examples. You can go over to our partner lodge if you want to find out more about them. We have some PDOs who have booths over there. But these people will help you develop apps for yourself or for your customers. And we actually see that people who use these development outsourcers have a lower chance of failing security review. Cool. So that was the overview, why we do it, what we do, and who's who. Let's actually dive right into it. So the security review process, this is how you ace it. So we want to get you at all parts of the lifecycle. This looks just like a waterfall development lifecycle, right? So in the early phases, we want you to review Trailhead modules. We want you to review the best practices, and we want you to attend office hours. I'm going to dive right into that now, and we'll cover the other parts later. So our training. If you go to sfdc.co/devsecuritytrail, you'll get to our awesome Develop Secure Web Apps trail. I worked on this personally. We have all sorts of bugs. We have all sorts of solutions for those bugs. Common things you'll see like cross-site scripting. Cross-site scripting is the ability for a user to inject code, HTML and JavaScript, into your app. And that will run and attack your users, and that's not something you want to enable. We have app logic vulnerability prevention, so making sure that your code actually enforces the profiles and the permission sets that the user or that the admin enforced, so that a user can't use your app to see data they weren't previously authorized to. We have security for Lightning components. This is a new one. This covers a lot of the interesting ways that Lightning has changed the security landscape for us. I'd highly recommend anyone take this before submitting for security review. Has anyone in this room actually taken it? Hey, I see a few hands. Yeah, so I've been told this is one of the longest trails on Trailhead. I've also gotten some feedback that it's incredibly hard and that people who got out of it and who finished it were incredibly proud that they did. It's a lot of in-depth technical content. You do need to be at least intermediate in Apex and Lightning and Visualforce before we cover this. But once you do, you'll find there's a whole realm of security at Salesforce that you will have access to. We have our documentation. We have our Security Developer Center. This is our single kind of go-to place for everything security. So we have secure coding guidelines for how to write secure Apex, secure coding guidelines for how to write secure Lightning. And for those of you who are AppExchange partners, the requirements checklist is my personal light post. It defines what a security review actually looks like. If you have not heard of the requirements checklist before and are thinking of becoming an AppExchange developer, please go look there right now. We update it pretty much anytime we have a security rule change. We updated it with Lightning. We updated it when we deprecated TLS. We update it when new features come out and for how to use those features securely. That is your most important resource on this slide. Cool. We also have office hours in our unified partner portal. So for those of you who are partners, you can sign into our partner security portal and book office hours with us. Now, I put this in the design section specifically because there's a lot of data that shows security bugs are easiest to fix in the design phase. Frankly, all bugs are easiest to fix in the design phase, but security bugs are non-negotiable for most of our customers. So we want to make sure that while you're architecting your app, while you're deciding what endpoints to call out to and how to include those resources yourself, that that's secure. One thing we often see for the technical office hours ahead of time is we see authentication schemes. How do I make sure that my app integrates with Facebook securely or integrates with Google Maps securely? A common way for to do that is OAuth, and if you're including any scripts, bring that in-house, bring that into your Salesforce static resources. That's your pro tip. You don't have to book an office hours now. And actually, I'm really proud of this portal, so I'm going to demo it for you right now. And here's to praying that it actually works. So here I am, signed into my partner org. And here I just have some unpackaged code lying around. So if I go over here to sfdc.co/portal, we're going to redirect to our source scanner. And so we'll talk about the tools we have here. But really, we're just going to log in. And it's going to use my existing partner org login to determine a session. And here we see we're actually at my source scanner now. So these are the scans from our org that we've run. And this is from anyone in the org. So you'll see P. Conan at partner.com. He's another admin in my org who's been running code. So we're just going to go ahead and download one of those scan reports, unzip it, and open it up so you can see what a scan report looks like. So this looks for security and quality issues. So here you see we have a test method with no assert. And we've looked for cross-site scripting. We've looked for Salesforce object query language injection. And we haven't found any, which I'm pretty happy with. But that's just the scanner. We're going to talk about that later. I want to show off our office hours portal, because this is brand new, and I'm super happy with it. So I want to book a technical office hours, because I know that my scans are clean, but I don't know how clean. I don't know why they're clean. I don't know if it's the scanner's broken or if something that I did. So I'm going to click on the security team office hours. If you have a question about the review, we have an FAQ for that. I'm having a hard time with the Force.com scanner. I actually know my question's not any of the above, so we're just going to continue. So my app name is Dreamforce Security Scanner, and I work for Salesforce. I want to help secure Moscone 2007. That's not the year, that's the room we're in. So here we have our booking page. You can figure out which days you'd like to book. October 11th, maybe 10:30. But actually, I want to undo that and take a look and see if I can book on a European time zone. So we do have time zone support on Wednesdays for Europe. This is actually run by our Israeli team. So we do have time zone support. The most office hours we do have is in San Francisco time, however. So I'd highly recommend, if you're not located in America, trying to book way far in advance for one of those Wednesday slots. Otherwise, we'll try and support you on our regular slots, but there's not that much room for us to move these office hour slots. But I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to go back to Pacific Standard Time, book Thursday at 3:30, and submit this. And it's actually going to automatically add a Google Meet office hour. Has anyone had an office hour with us before? No. So one of the problems we used to have, and why we built this new scanner portal, is we used to ask you for your contact method. And that was great, because that allowed us to support Skype, it allowed us to support GoToMeeting, but it also meant that if you typoed your phone number, we didn't have access, and we couldn't reach out to you. So now we provide you a default, and you can change that if you want. So I'm going to submit, and now I have an office hour. We have documents and articles here for you to take a look at as well. And you'll see the requirements checklist is right there. So let's go back to PowerPoint. Let's keep going. Awesome. So we've decided what we want to build, and we've reviewed it with the security team to make sure that we're on track. OK. So we have some continuous integration tools for ongoing security scanning. We have PMD. Has anyone heard of PMD before? Hey, there's a few more hands than the last one. So PMD is actually an open source tool. I want to warn you about their logo. We didn't choose their logo. Their logo is a little bit not safe for a presentation. It's still safe for work, but I didn't want to put it up here because it's not part of the Salesforce brand. Anyways, they have all sorts of quality and security rule sets for Apex and Visualforce. They also have rule sets for Java, for Python. But we are really interested in the Apex and Visualforce ones. We've worked on these security rules for the most common ones. CRUD and FLS violations are our #1 bug on the App Exchange, and it was the first rule we built into that. So we have Maven and Gradle integrations. I don't know why you would be using that if you have a build system for Salesforce, but it's interesting. You can use it with Atom or Visual Studio Code or Eclipse or IntelliJ. All of those we have seen Salesforce developers using. And this is actually what it looks like if you use it in Visual Studio Code. So this is some of my code. You'll see that it's running a database.query, and I didn't check CRUD or FLS at all. So that's a little alarming. Same down there. And it both does the red squiggly underline to let you know something's wrong, as well as puts it as a build problem down at the bottom. So I highly encourage you to put this into all of your developers' IDEs or editors, because the fail fast mode is one of the best ways to get security done early. Other than that, though, if you are lucky enough to have your own Checkmarks license, Checkmarks is a Force.com security scanner. In fact, it is the Force.com security scanner. It's what we run under the hood. It's what we run for all the App Exchange. I'd highly recommend that you actually integrate it with your Git repo. They have all sorts of awesome tools to automatically comment on pull requests or commits. And you can see how your security evolves as your development evolves. And we want to make sure you're running the same tools we are, so we release our Salesforce Checkmarks presets for free. These haven't updated in a while. You'll see the file stamp, or the timestamp on the file, excuse me, is from 2016. Security hasn't changed much since 2016. All of our Apex rules and all of our Visualforce rules are still the same, and we're working on how to get our Lightning rules out to you, but those aren't necessarily mature yet. Okay, so you went ahead, you installed PMD, you've got it running, you've cleared all those security bugs out, you have your clean checkmarks report from your on-prem checkmarks, and you're pretty happy with that. So let's test it. Let's do some verification for us. Again, I'm going to point us right back to our tools. So make sure that PMD and checkmarks have run against your code. Use our scanner portal, the one that I just showed you. To run a scan on your code, make sure that you actually have the ability to do that. We offer 3 scans per packaging org. So if you run any of those 3 scans, reach out to Checkmarks, buy a license. But honestly, your Force.com security scanner, since it's limited, since it takes longer, but it's a much higher quality tool, I'd recommend saving that for the testing phase. Use PMD everywhere. I'd also recommend using a dependency vulnerability scanner. This has been kind of a hot topic in the security community as of late, looking for outdated libraries and trying to exploit those. For the most common ones that we see with App Exchange packages, it's outdated JavaScript libraries included in those static resources. I recommend Retire.js. It's a free open source library. Looks for common security bugs in JavaScript packages. There's other ones like Sneak.io that has a paid option. There's many. I'd recommend you do your diligence and find your own. These are just a few examples. But like I said, I like cyborgs. Automated tools are no substitute for manual security review. You always need a human to make sure that the results from the automated tools are correct and to understand what a robot can't. But let's say your package is more complex. You don't have only Force.com packages. You call out to an app in Heroku. You call out to a Google Maps API. We want to make sure that any of those third parties are as secure as Salesforce. So we recommend that you run a web application scanner on that. The most common one, and we have a lot of training and documentation around this, is OWASP ZAP, Z Attack Proxy. This is a man-in-the-middle proxy, will sit between your browser and the internet, and can run security scans of websites. Of course, before you run security scans of websites, please ask for permission. We don't want any of our partners hacking other websites without their explicit permission and saying that Salesforce told them to do so. However, if you want a little more, we built a tool called Chimera, built on top of ZAP, but we stapled a few more tools on top of it. So we have that in our partner portal. that will run security scans, that will make sure that we do the authentication, that you actually have that Chimera token for us to scan for you. We'll return those results to you and we'll be good to go. Finally, an SSL or TLS scanner. We've deprecated TLS 1.0 at Salesforce. We're deprecating TLS 1.0 for all of our partners as well. We've seen a lot of people failing because of that. Please run your open ports and your open security configurations through our SSL or TLS scanner. But like I said, automated tools are no substitute for manual testing. So we have that scanner portal I showed you earlier. You can log in. You can have some fun with those scans. But let's say you've tested it. You're finally done. We crossed this journey together. So I'd recommend doing office hours one more time, this time having an operations office hours. Make sure that you have all your documents in a row. Your Zap scan shows a few bugs, but you're worried that you don't think they're bugs. They'll tell you how to make a false positive doc, how to submit that. Have some technical office hours to actually talk about any bugs and make sure that they would be accepted as a false positive once you submit them. But what do you want to do when you actually submit for security review? People, please take a picture of this slide. This is too information dense. I'm not going to go through it. But we want to make sure that you have all your environments for us. Your native force.com environments, any external environments if you call out to that Heroku app like we talked about. We want to make sure that you have any managed package linked to your account and any documentation. It's really a force multiplier for us to have documentation because we review thousands of apps a year. It's kind of hard for us to completely deep dive on all the functionality of all of those apps. So we want to make sure that it's easy for our reviewers to understand and review those apps for you. Documentation is always appreciated. All right. So what are the common causes of delay? Some people complain that security review takes too long. So let's see what we can shortcut and make sure that we have everything up front. So make sure that your credentials are actually valid and not expired. Sometimes as a reviewer, I'll log into a testing org and I'll see reset your password. I don't want to reset your password and then have to tell you your password. So you reset your password for us. Make sure that all your composite endpoints have a web scan. That when you're including that Heroku app, you give us a Zap or a Chimera scan. If you have the incorrect package version installed, let's say you submitted for security review under package version 1.0.1, and while you're waiting and for the review to finish, you ship 1.0.2. We're going to have to stop and restart the review on 1.0.2. So make sure that once you submit for security review, you don't make any forward dev until it's complete. And lastly, any missing false positive documents. Now, what are the common security problems? Not the submission issues. If you get a result back, make sure that all of those issues are actually fixed. Make sure that you've reviewed our requirements checklist ahead of time. Now, our reviewers go for breadth, not depth. If you have 100,000 lines of Apex code, we're not going to look at every line of those 100,000 lines. We're going to do the best we can with the time we have. So what we look for is we look for 1 or 2 instances of CRUD and FLS violations. We look for 1 or 2 instances of SOQL injection. In your composite part, we look for 1 or 2 instances of cross-site scripting or 1 or 2 instances of SQL injection. We want to make sure that we offer you all the types of bugs that you need to review your code and fix for, but you actually need to review and fix all of those instances. If you just Band-Aid the 3 files or the 3 URLs we talk about, we're likely going to find some more. Additionally, our reviewers are pretty thorough. We will often find environments that weren't mentioned in the original scope of the app. Maybe you have a mobile app that you use that we found just poking around your app. Make sure that you include all environments. Everywhere a customer would be expected to use your app, we need to review. And finally, we do a review every time for the submissions. So if you get a result back and you just resubmit hoping that the reviewer won't look at it this time, that's not actually going to work. So post-release, how do we keep security ongoing? Keep running those PMD scans, but save your force.com scans. We're going to call you back for an in-depth re-review in a few years, or depending on how much your package changes. So save those because we will need those to prepare you for the next round of manual re-review. And lastly, have a vulnerability disclosure and remediation process. We're going to get bugs. Sometimes they belong to partners or App Exchange packages. We want to make sure that you're ready to handle these bugs and close them out and communicate that out to your partners. So I have a few questions for all of you about how you do your security. In fact, I have some swag. I've got little notebooks with Post-its, and I've got webcam covers for anyone who answers one of my questions correctly. So I'd recommend taking a picture of this. For those of you who are developers in the room, I really like Org Security Fundamentals tomorrow at 8 a.m. For those of you who are a little more senior, Scale Security at Your Company is a great talk about how to build a security program. Lastly, we have specialized talks around the Salesforce mobile SDK, around named credentials, securing and simplifying your API callouts. And finally, how to secure data securely, store data securely, excuse me. These are awesome. Come visit us downstairs at the security zone. But I've got some questions, and I encourage people to come up. So for anyone who's a developer who is paying attention to this talk, what does PMD operate on? What languages does PMD support? I will also give swag to people who guess. Java, Python, yes. I'm not going to throw these because they're heavy and have sharp corners, so you can come see me at the end. But what do we care about here at Salesforce? Apex and Visualforce, there we go. All right, I'm moving these. Do you want the Post-it books or webcam covers? You can come see me afterwards. All right, well, in that case, it seems like we're not getting a lot of engagement here, so I'm just going to say thank you so much. I'm here for any questions you have. Again, I'm Ryan Flood. Thank you all.